Hi, this is
One Trek Hivemind.
my name's Jen.
Hey, I'm Klara.
I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Jane. I'm gay.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and today we were just discussing before recording, and Jane brought up a really funny theory that I thought would be really good to lead with because I was like dying laughing, running downstairs to get a Pepsi, thinking about this. Why don't you tell us what you were talking about?
Yes. Okay. So we were talking about the Simlish language, which led into us talking about how Matador Records, like Car Seat Headrest and Snail Mail, people signed to them, were doing Simlish remixes. I guess it
I
was.
definitely think they have to have like a deal going on there.
If it's
Like, that's
multiple
gotta be a
Matador artists, yeah. And I was thinking about a time when Anthony Fantano reviewed that Snail Mail record, Lush, and it's like his shortest review in years. And he opens it up by saying something like, "Hi, everyone, contractual thini obligatano here." And it made me wonder if he somehow had some contractual obligation to cover every Matador Records release or something, or every mainstream one anyway.
It is kind of a like, first off, if that's the case, I wonder what the threshold for a mainstream one is, because he at least skipped the most recent, Mountain Goats release, probably because he just wasn't so hot on the other one, but he wasn't so hot on the Snail Mail album either, was he?
No, I think he gave it a 5 or something.
Oh my god. So I was
Damn.
trying to go and see what, like, if there was a good list of the songs, that got Simlish versions to see if there were any other, like, prominent Matador artists. And I don't really want to filter through all this right now, but it's so funny that there's a look at this. You've got to see this. There's an actual page with a bunch of the songs, but also there's like a like side by side lyric transcription in Simlish for all of these.
That's
Like what?
amazing.
Like uh My Chemical Romance, na 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 stays the same, but then Banazun Cure and Net. Like I can sing along with this if I really wanted to. I don't know what any of this means. Um,
Oh my god, they have hot chip songs on here.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Do you think that Simlish is like a legitimate?
Yeah, I was about
Is
to
it
ask that.
like
It's like an
consistent
actual. Yeah.
in
Does it
terms
have
of?
like semantics and stuff? That would be
I
crazy.
I didn't think it did because then they would have to like coach the artists into
Yeah.
it. I think that there's a couple of the songs that I remember listening to that like there's a Katy Perry one or something, and it's literally just like almost saying the English words, but not quite.
Yeah.
Hmm. I always thought it was like edited and cut up as well, just English. But
Yeah, that would actually make sense, at least early on. When I was really young, I read about how like they had an entire language for Klingon that they just invented for the show Star Trek, and that people could actually learn the language and like speak in it in real life. And I thought that was so cool. And I swear I've heard the exact same story 30 other times. And at this point, I'm just like, oh yeah, they invented a new language, whatever.
yeah, it's like the cool indie thing to do, I guess. Also, there's like a written Simlish apparently. What the fuck is going on? Since when is that a thing?
I mean, there must be a written Simlish if they were able to transcribe all these lyrics, right?
It's not even in the game
Yeah.
though. At least none that I've played.
Yeah, same.
I've got a weird like relationship with The Sims because growing up, I had a Mac, and most of the Sims games up until the third one, I think, were only on PC. But I would see all these videos on YouTube of like AMVs of like really sad Avril Lavigne songs, or like just like how to
Yeah.
like every way Sims can die compilations or whatever when I was like 7, and I was like, wow, I really want to play this game. It looks like you could do anything. It looks like it's so fun, but I just didn't have the computer to do it. And I kept trying to talk my neighbor into getting it, just like, or like letting me buy it so that I could play it at his house. And he wasn't having it. So from a distance, I've always kind of seen The Sims as something that looks really cool. But even to this day, I've never played a Sims game.
Hmm.
So I don't know anything about the language or how significant it is. I always thought it was just Babel speak
Yeah.
that they used.
Hmm.
Kind
At
of
least in
to,
the most recent game, there's like karaoke you can do, and then the songs come into play.
oh my god, really?
At least from what I've seen, it might be a mod because I don't play it. I watch my brother play it, but he doesn't download mods, but he also doesn't do anything interesting on there. But I also watch some YouTubers play it.
Can you have like a small like Sims rock band party, but in Simlish?
I
That would be
don't
fucking
think so,
dope.
but maybe.
I would watch the hell out of that. That sounds entertaining as hell.
I had my one of my most strong existential crises watching my brother play The Sims, because he made the rookie mistake of creating our whole family in The Sims, and what ended up happening is like half of us died immediately from a fire, and it was just like
Nice.
like it was just so
Yeah.
sad to think about like how sudden that could happen, and I thought about that for literally months afterwards. Just like the
How
idea
old were you?
oh, God, I don't know. Let me look up when The Sims 4 came out, and then everybody else can talk while I'm looking that up.
Sims 4? I mean, that was like 5 years ago or less.
That's the thing. This was kind of recent.
Oh,
But yeah, I used to be scared of The Sims because the first time I tried to play The Sims, like a bunch of shit happened and like half the family died, like from a fire. The same thing
Yeah, that's it.
on
The
the
game,
first day.
the game sets out to kill you. But what's especially sad about this one is like it was just enough time for me to grow attached to this fictional, Simlish-speaking, perfect, idealized version of my family, and then like
aw.
my
Aw.
stepdad sets the house on fire by trying to fix the TV or something, and I die in the fire, and it's just like,
Oh.
well,
I thought you were gonna say that your stepdad did it like with malintent, like it was arson.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you kill three people from trying to fix the TV because the cord came unplugged.
I mean, I can't even get the fire
It
to go
happens.
like manually. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I played
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
1 hour and everything went wrong. Like I had like a dad. I think I had like a dad, a mom, a sister, and a brother. And like after I don't know how many minutes, the dad and the mom's relationship was so bad. This was like I think it was the first Sims. I don't know why. My grandparents had the first Sims. I don't know why. I don't know if they bought it for me. And like basically like right after I started for some reason, the parents' relationship got so bad that they sent in a clown to cheer them up or some shit. Like, they were like, "Here's a clown that's supposed to cheer them up." And then one of them started a barbecue, and both the parents died. And the parents just like and the kids just kept going to school, just like alone, nobody in the house. And I was like 11, I think. And I just stopped playing The Sims, and I
Wait,
didn't.
so the kids survived after the clown, but the
Yeah,
parents didn't?
yeah.
It's like a
The kid,
reverse
not the
John Wayne
clown.
Gacy
No,
situation.
the clown did not have malevolent intent. The clown just came to the game sent the clown to like improve the parents' marriage. The people died because like they did the barbecue.
Holy shit.
Like then the clown left. Actually, I think what happened is that because you can see the Sims' emotions, right? I think that the parents got the clown down. Like even the clown was sad, so it just left.
Oh no.
And,
Oh,
and
that's
then
so
one of them
fucked up.
started the barbecue, and both the parents died, but both the kids survived. They just like they went to sleep, and then
Holy shit.
they woke up and went to school in the morning, like, and then they just
This
kept
sounds
doing it.
this sounds like the dumbest creepypasta I've ever read.
That's true.
And there was because it was the first Sim, there wasn't even like a town or anything, so I could not do anything except watch
Oh
the
no.
house. I could just like watch the kids be in the house. Then in the morning they go off to school. I have to wait like with the empty house, and then they come back, and I could barely do anything. So I
Oh
just
no.
stopped playing. I didn't play again for years because I was like, "Fuck the Sims, this is whack."
This is just such a minor detail, but I think we should make Pagliacci the divorce clown a real life thing. Like, oh, your
Yeah.
husband cheated on you? Here's a clown.
Oh no.
It's me, Bobo.
Yeah. I haven't ever played any of those, but I wish I had, because I only had like the SimCity 2000 thing, which is like also by the
Oh,
same
yeah.
developers, and you could also do a bunch of dumb shit in it. And I was just like, I was the most like malevolent, like imperial lord or whatever that you could be. It's horrible, absolutely like worse than Hitler. It was like I was being terrible. Like for some reason, like you said, that what drew you to play Sims is that you watched like all of these compilations of the Sims dying. For me, it was kind of the same. Like I watched people, like my friends, invade other like places with these alien ships, and that was like my life goal from that point.
It like awakened something in you. You were like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, the possibilities."
destruction. I think that's what made most people play Roller Coaster Tycoon as well.
Yeah, that probably is. I remember like I was at a summer camp when I was probably like 8 or 9. No, it had to be earlier than that. I was like 6 or 7, I think. I was at like a summer camp and my dad worked really late, so he wasn't home to come and pick me up until much, much later. So they would keep those kids with like parents who couldn't come pick them up in this like back room in the science center in my city where I went to camp, and they would like just give us a pile of computer games, and so everybody would like scramble to go and grab the good ones and then go play them. And if it wasn't, like you would just watch YouTube videos or whatever. And that was how I got introduced to a lot of the early YouTube shit. Like I remember that was where I first saw Potter Puppet Pals video, but that
Oh
was
yeah.
also how I first got introduced to like Roller Coaster Tycoon. And there was this one that was probably a knockoff called School Tycoon that was so terrible but so
Oh
fun.
yeah.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever seen this game, and it probably looks super, super bad, like, looking
I
back
just
on it.
know that there's like two development teams. One makes the good ones, and then the other one like tries really hard, and they keep coming back with like a really strange monetization model every now and then.
Ah,
And it's
yeah,
just like
it was
it's sad.
probably the the shitty one that I was playing,
Yeah.
but I loved it. I loved the shit out of it, and, but I don't think in all that time I ever got to play an actual Sims game, which is
Damn.
like, maybe I should now that I'm, like, an adult with money, not really time, but I have money, so I can go and buy a Sims game or something or pirate it. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you can look at it. You can just look at the case, have it in your room
I did.
for
I did
keeping.
that. I took it from I had a friend who had the first Sims game, but like it couldn't run on his computer or something. So I said, "Can I borrow this?" He was like, "You you can't even run it on your Mac." I was like, "I just want to hold it." So I like had it in my room for a week. Like I was playing it,
Damn.
but I wasn't. I was just fucking holding on to it. So
It's like an idle game kind of at that point.
the first Sims game I think came out in like 2000. And so, if you were around during that time or like just shortly thereafter in 2001, a pivotal year for culture for a number of reasons, wink, wink.
Oh
Uh,
no. Oh no.
you probably, at least in the United States, you probably would have been unable to avoid a certain supermarket core song, "Drops of Jupiter" by Train.
Now that she's back in the atmosphere with drops of Jupiter in her chicken.
Hey, there's our transition.
Hell yeah, that was smooth.
Transition.
Ooh, transition.
Oh no.
Transition.
Welcome to Train 155, everybody.
Okay, so I want to get this out of the way first because I had to specify United States because this is something that I like growing up totally believed everybody had heard this song, and almost everyone I know has heard this song like in real life, but everyone I know in real life is very much, a United States citizen. And this is like kind of it was
Mm.
this huge cultural moment to be like unable to get away from these songs that played on the radio or like in the supermarket. Like if I said "Don't Know Why" by Norah Jones, do you guys know what song I'm talking about?
I do, but that's just because my parents played it in the car.
No idea.
No idea. What about you, Jane?
I've not heard it.
You've not, okay, maybe you have and you don't know what it's called, but I feel like it's very like every time I go to my local Giant Eagle to get my prescriptions, I hear that song. I swear to God. That or like one of any 10 train tracks. Train track.
Ha,
You think that's why they called the band Train?
Oh
That's,
god. I
that's
mean, they
so
might
great.
have.
That would be kind of genius. Like that's probably the smartest thing Train has ever done as a band. But yeah, I mean, they're very like I think of them as supermarket core songs for the U.S. population. But like, so first, let's go like, so Sarah, where you said you've never heard the song before. Where were you living in like the 2000s?
I was living in Paris, and I didn't hear it. Now, what's interesting is Hey Soul Sister did cross over. I did hear Hey Soul Sister growing up, but when Drops of Jupiter came out, I didn't hear that at all.
I guess Hey Soul Sister is kind of like I'm coming to terms with the fact that Hey Soul Sister is probably a bigger song than Drops of Jupiter, even though it's
Yeah.
almost universally considered worse.
Same
But
here, which is why I was surprised. Like, I have heard Hey Soul Sister like way too many times, including like shitty acoustic covers by some people at my high school.
oh yeah,
But like this
big
one,
ukulele.
like, yeah, exactly. But this one, like, not even a shred at all. Although it's like much better, but that's another
And
discussion.
you're in Germany, or you were? Have
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
I
have
was
been your
born
whole
there.
life?
Yep. I mean, I also was like 2 when this came out, so I don't know. Maybe I just didn't remember. But actually, was Hey Soul Sister later or?
Hey Soul Sister was like 2008.
Yeah, so maybe it's just
2009.
that.
Yeah, maybe
I mean,
it's
it could
just
be
that.
but I still
Yeah.
feel like it's like something that has just been like I still could hear this on the radio or out in public. It's like a very lasting.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things that has just faded away.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think my theory, based on what everyone else was saying, is that Drops of Jupiter came out and it was a big hit in the US probably, and maybe didn't cross over internationally. So then when Hey Soul Sister came out and it was a huge hit everywhere, I think Drops of Jupiter kind of had a resurgence again in the US because we were already all familiar with it. And it was like just the perfect amount of time after Drops of Jupiter initially was a hit for everyone to be like, oh, I want to listen to this again. But since other places, they never heard Drops of Jupiter in the first place, it was just Hey Soul Sister. It didn't bring Drops of Jupiter back up with it.
That
That
makes sense.
that
Yeah.
would be a pretty good theory. I think for me, I might have a tiny bit of a bias because I mean, like I said, I've still heard it in a ton of places, but I think that as far as like where I first heard it goes, it was definitely when I was like 3 or 4 years old because I was also like about 2 in 2001, but
Mhm.
their next album after that was like My Private Nation or something, and that had the lead single Calling All Angels. And I remember hearing that on the radio when I was really little, and like my parents went and bought the CD, and that was probably when Drops of Jupiter was a thing. And I just remember mishearing the lyrics all the time as Drops of Jupiter in her ear, not her hair. And I was like,
Oh
what does
no.
that mean? Why? That sounds disgusting. So I'm looking here at like the Wikipedia page for the single to try and get some statistics. It peaked at number 5 on the U.S. Billboard, but in like some of the derivative billboards, like the adult alternative songs and adult top 40, it did hit number 1 at some point. But in let's see, France, peak position was 73, and in Germany also 73. So that's a really weird coincidence.
Hmm.
But then let's check out like Hey Soul Sister. I don't know. So
Probably like number 1 here,
yeah,
if
we're
I had to
probably
guess.
yeah, these numbers are a lot smaller, definitely. US Billboard Hot 100 hit 3 on those other two previously mentioned like US derivative billboards, the adult ones, it was like 2, 1, and 1. And then in France, you hit 15 for the radio charts, 10 for downloads. So I guess it was more popular like when iTunes was a huge thing. And then in Germany it hit number 7. So there definitely was a lot more
Mm.
crossover there like objectively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
makes a
that
lot of
was
sense.
2009. Okay, yeah. Oh my god. Can you believe that we're like over a decade detached from Hey Soul Sister?
I wish
I
we were
wonder.
more than a decade detached from Hey Soul Sister.
I wish we were more than like a unit of time detached from Hey Soul Sister.
I wish Hey Soul Sister had never existed, and if in fact, if Hey Soul Sister did stop to exist at this moment, I would immediately feel a burden lifted off of me. I would immediately feel better about my position in the world.
I honestly believe that.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, so you two listening to Drops of Jupiter for the first time, I want you guys to tell me what your thoughts are on having heard it for the first 1, 2, or 3 times, however many you did listen to it. Let's start with you, Klara.
All right. So the first thought that I had was like, why is this not the song that I know from them? Like, it just, I knew Hey Soul Sister at that moment, and like in the first 2 seconds or so, I recognized that it's the same band, even though I didn't know before. And I was just kind of mad at first, because it's like it's just it's on a different planet. This one kind of.
Jupiter,
Haha,
yeah.
haha. Yeah, I didn't even intend to make that pun. Yeah, apparently I can't stop making these shitty puns sometimes. But yeah, it's like. Yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of the like dramatic instrumentation and all of that. It's like, it kind of doesn't do anything for me. Like it's nice, surely, and it doesn't ruin the song or anything, but it's just not my thing, I guess. And some of the lyrics were like confusing to me at first, because my first through, I didn't pay that much attention. I only heard like a few of them. One of them was the fried chicken line, and I was like, what the hell is going on? That was like, now that I've heard it like a couple more times, it makes like a bit more sense, but the kind of like killed the vibe, I guess, at first. But overall, I would say that's like a much more like well-written song and much less annoying than Hey Soul Sister.
Yeah.
And a lot of the lyricism is like surprisingly good. It's like simple, but it works. I'd say. Especially
you-
the Heaven is Overrated.
Yeah. Did you like look up the lyrics or were you just listening to
No,
the
I
lyrics?
was just vibing. Really.
Okay, yeah, I was only wondering that because there is like an explanation for, and I read this a while ago,
Oh,
so
okay.
I just happened to know it. I wasn't doing research for this or whatever, but there is a proper explanation for why the bridge has those weird lyrics. And I know a lot of people complain about the words, and then when they hear the explanation, they're like, "Oh, that's kind of
Oh,
cute."
okay.
But
I
we'll
mean,
get into that
so
later.
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess my first idea is like that it's about like a loved one that has passed, and maybe that has to do with memories that they have with that person. But
You
I can only
actually,
guess.
that's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah, that's what I
nailed
was
it.
thinking
It's
because it's
about,
like so weirdly specific.
I'm pretty sure it's about his mother who died of cancer.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
Like
that
inside
makes
jokes
sense.
that they had that he's trying to immortalize.
Oh, okay, but why the pride and the chicken? It's okay. We'll get to that later. I guess.
Right, yeah. I'm surprised you guessed that because I never would have guessed that.
Fun fact about the fried chicken line is that actually in some regions of the U.S. With KFC, Train did this weird partnership where they did like drops of Jupiter seasoning to put on their fried chicken.
Are you serious?
Damn,
I'm
that is
absolutely not
amazing.
serious. No, I made that up completely.
Oh,
Oh my god.
I believed you. I believed that KFC would do that.
yeah.
That's the thing, is that this isn't even as crazy as some of the crap KFC has done. But can you imagine just like KFC and Train partnership?
Have y'all seen the
I
KFC
mean, I can.
Crocs?
Yeah.
It still wouldn't be as weird as the
Yeah.
Domino's
Yeah, the
partnership
KFC
with
Crocs.
Hatsune Miku.
What was this about
Domino's what?
Hatsune Miku?
You haven't heard
What?
the Domino's Hatsune Miku thing?
Okay,
What?
I'm looking this one up.
What?
Hold on.
No,
Did they make a
seriously.
thing about pizza? Like
This is it's like
for real? I was making a
Oh
joke.
right, yeah, I forgot about that, but I did hear about that.
you
Yeah.
could totally this is like the CEO of Domino's at the time. I don't think he works for them anymore. He's talking about Hatsune Miku and there was a like a augmented reality app where you could like point it at the pizza box and Miku would come up and like sing a song and it was like a cross
Holy
promotion
shit.
for you to make your own songs about pizza or whatever. Like there's a bit in the end of the commercial where they program the bot to do to sing Domino Pizza or something and that became a meme for a while.
What timeline is this?
Yeah, I don't remember what year this was, but it was definitely I know like the original video got deleted and so that's why this one that I'm just sharing right now is like Internet Media Archive or whatever.
Fucking
Original
amazing.
full video.
But it's so funny. Like I love this video.
Yeah, the Domino's CEO in this video is not the CEO anymore. Now it's Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There was a usurp of power.
Does that put Hatsune Miku and Shaq, the current CEO of Papa John's, in direct competition?
It does, yes. Hatsune
think
Miku
so,
and
yeah.
Shaq's big competition. Yeah, I should
Oh,
probably
no.
actually explain that dumb in joke, which
Okay.
is that Shaquille O'Neal is after Papa John from Papa John's of the Papa John brand got fired from Papa John's and is no longer affiliated with Papa John's. They had to restore confidence in the brand, so they hired Shaquille O'Neal to serve on their board of directors or whatever for like a few specific locations. So I think technically it's just that like Shaq is like a figurehead basically, and he owns a few locations. But I just tell people that Shaq is the new CEO of Papa John's because it's close enough.
Are you making
he's
this
just-
shit up again like the Drops of Jupiter seasoning or is that actually real?
It's not. She is not. I looked it up when she told me.
Holy
Yeah,
fuck.
Shaq is actually on the board of directors, but I did make up the part about him being the new CEO. Yeah.
For him to be on the board of directors of a couple locations, I mean, owning a couple locations, I could kind of see, but being on the board of directors, even if that's a publicity move, it's such a weird one.
I think it's symbolic. I heard someone say something. I think I've heard this on another podcast actually. Say something that like at the Shaq-owned locations, they have like a foot size measurer in the Papa John's, and you can compare your foot size to Shaquille O'Neal's foot size. But that might have been. I can't tell if they were lying.
That's I mean, I guess if it's symbolic, maybe it's because Papa John was fired for being kind of a racist prick. So They were like, "Who's the most agreeable black celebrity?" Probably Shaquille O'Neal.
Probably Snoop Dogg.
I guess that does make sense too, but Shaq is up there, you know?
Yeah, Shaq is like not got the shady past. Also,
No, yeah, and I mean, did it work? Like, has anybody analyzed their, like, stock performance from from that period?
good question.
And maybe it didn't work that well because I didn't even know about this until you just said it, so clearly they weren't doing
Yeah.
a good job of disseminating the information.
I'm also wondering if this is not like a gigantic meme. It's kind of surprising.
Former NBA star will be the company's first African American board member. Papa John's
See, there it is. I was right.
Papa John's International
Yeah,
announced
okay.
March 22nd that NBA Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal will be joining Papa John's as a member of the company's board of directors and as an investor in 9 Papa John's restaurants in the Atlanta area. Shaq steps in as a triple threat to help Papa John. Source is the undefeated.com, which I've never heard of, but I'm going to assume it's a credible source because I want this to be true and I have confirmation bias.
I don't know, why don't you, like, go to his Wikipedia page, control F, Papa John's.
I absolutely will.
I feel like that's probably the best verification we're gonna get. Because I don't know the undefeated either, but maybe it's just a popular thing for sports nerds, and it's like,
Yeah,
what
that's
if
what I was
we
thinking.
what if we went to somebody and was like, "Yo, Pitchfork just reported on, like, the celebrity's death or whatever," and it's like, "Well, how do you know that? Like, how do you know Pitchfork's credible?" I don't know, we just
Yeah, we just kind of do.
Pitchfork kind of
Yeah.
isn't credible, but at least if they report a celebrity death, we know that it's true.
Yeah.
It's like, "Wow, they gave the new Clipping album before. It's probably still good."
Another fun fact about Pitchfork is that
It better be true.
they gave no. This is true. I only have one lie per episode. I've set a standard for myself. They gave Splendor.
What if that was the one?
And I was telling the truth earlier, but I was lying about it being a lie.
Yeah.
They gave Splendor and Misery like a really middling score, or even like bad. I don't remember how bad it was, but
They've
like
given, like, every clipping a bad score.
Yeah.
they gave it like a really bad
Out of
score.
spite, probably.
But then they put it super high on their like best industrial albums of all time list. Because they had a list that was like top 41 or top 31 or something, industrial albums of all time, and Splendor and Misery was on there, which is kind of a weird pick for like, I think it's like their least industrial album, maybe.
No, it is, because it has, like, all the gospel shit on it.
Yeah, and like I guess, and There Existed an Addiction to Blood wasn't even out yet, so like you could at least do the self-titled.
It's kind of noisy, but that's about it. Like, I don't know why you picked that one at all. Like,
Yeah.
you would pick Mix City for that, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
Mid-City or the self-titled, if you don't want to include like the Mid-City because it's a mixtape or whatever.
I could probably
Yeah.
think of 40 industrial albums that are better than Splendor and Misery too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not even my
Yeah.
favorite Clipping album. It is actually my least favorite Clipping album.
But what about you, Jane? What do you think of Drops of Jupiter?
Drops of Jupiter is a song that I can't imagine not existing, which is a phrase I use a lot of the time, but I literally can't imagine being born or like being cognizant of a world in which Drops of Jupiter was not already embedded into my consciousness. In that way, it's hard for me to even say I have an opinion on the song. It's like saying I have an opinion on the fact that rocks exist.
Are you reading off a script right now?
Legitimately how I believe.
What?
That is a bit I've practiced a bit in the past. I've practiced a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much genuinely how I believe. Like, I can't imagine Drops of Jupiter not existing. It's like basically the entire Queen catalog. Like, it's the reason I don't really feel like I can have.
Don't even make the fucking Queens of the Stone Age joke. I will.
I'm not going to. Listen, that was a separate bit. But it's like Queen's whole catalog. Like, I legitimately can't imagine being born into a world where someone hasn't already written "We Are the Champions." Like, how is that song not the first song anyone ever wrote?
I do remember reading this thing where they did a survey. I don't know what I read this in like some French magazine, so I have no idea what the sample size for this was at all. But I remember growing up that it was like the song that "We Are the Champions" was the song most people had stuck in their head or something like that. Again, I have no idea what the pool size for this was, but it is something I remember reading.
I would not doubt that that's probably true at any given, honestly. Especially
I think that might be like the most publicly like in the ether song. It's just like the most public consciousness is for that. So Drop of Jupiter is I mean, that's a song that I thought kind of the same of until I'm consistently proven wrong by people who tell me they haven't heard it. So I should really stop asserting that. But
Consistently being like 2 people.
well, no, because I mean, like I remember distinctly my senior year of high school getting into an argument with my best friend because he swore he had never heard the song, and I was like, "There's no possible way that that's the case. Like we've been going to the same school forever. We like grew up in the
Mm.
same neighborhood. Like we are culturally the same." And you probably also listen to a bunch of the radio. I don't know how you've never heard this song. I feel like you're like, maybe you just don't know it by name. And he was like, nope, never heard that song. I was like, okay, fine. Here, listen to it. And I made him listen to it, and he hadn't heard it. So, I mean, I think that was the first time I had ever encountered somebody who had never heard the song. I guess it's probably a little more believable to me for someone to have not heard Buddy Holly than to have heard or to not have heard this song. It's just so embedded in the public consciousness.
Mm.
Mm.
I also honestly have never heard Buddy Holly outside of either deliberately trying to listen to Buddy Holly, which I do very often, or like on Rock Band, I think. Either Rock Band or Guitar Hero, I think, are the only places I've heard it. But we also don't have a local rock station, so.
Yeah, I also still have not heard it or even heard of it until last episode
Oh my god.
at all. I don't know
Yeah.
how that happened, by the way.
I've never
Yeah.
heard Buddy Holly either. There's a lot of songs I haven't heard of, but of course I have heard of it. Same way that I have
I mean,
heard of
yeah.
Drops of Jupiter a lot, just never heard the song itself.
Well, I've heard of Weezer, but like not the song really.
I mean, I guess like maybe this is a good like paints a good picture of cultural divide in a sense.
Mm.
Maybe over the course of a bunch of episodes of I don't even know what we're actually going to talk about, but we will learn some of the cultural differences starting in like the early 2000s since we were all born kind of at the end of the millennium. I
Right,
think am
yeah.
I the youngest here? And I was
Uh,
born in like mid 99, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm the youngest here.
It goes Klara, me, Jen, Sarah. Yeah,
I'm the oldest? What? How the fuck?
pretty sure.
That's
You
so
turned 21
strange.
before I did.
Not used to it at all. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, but you were also still born in late 99.
Yeah. Well,
So, yeah, we were all kind of in that same group there.
Yeah, we're very close together.
Yes, and so that's almost like a good research experiment in and of itself. Comparative statics, like keep
mm.
one variable the same and then everything else is completely different.
I mean, there's probably like a whole host of stuff that I think is like completely embedded in my brain that you have never heard of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
probably
very
true. And
It's
they're
gonna be
probably
interesting
all in other
finding out what that
languages.
is.
Well, like
Yeah.
what's the number one thing in like other countries that everybody in other countries knows of that I just have no clue about?
See, the thing is that it's hard to identify that kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
it
just
is.
there. It's just there. You never think about it. It's just like in the back of your head. I'll have to go dig a little bit maybe and see what's up. But
I was
I like.
I,
I like
I'm
to
sort of
imagine-
wondering the same thing because honestly, the reason I picked this song is because I feel like whenever somebody says a song that everybody knows, that's the first one that comes to my head.
Mm.
I wonder what song I would pick for that. Probably Beat It.
Yeah, wait, why did you I was gonna say Thriller. Like yeah. Don't know why we both went to Michael Jackson there.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's just who I generally think of. Yeah, I don't know. Drops of Jupiter is definitely up there for me though. Like I've heard it a bunch. I heard it, like I said, we don't really have a local rock radio. For a lot of my adolescence, we just had country and Christian local radio. At least that's all I knew existed.
Mm.
But we do have like a pop radio now. And I remember distinctly, I went to some competition in middle school and my dad drove me home afterwards. And I just remember it was raining, but not like one of the really downpour rains, like one of the really pretty rains where it's just like, kind of sprinkling and everything looks really nice and picturesque. And Drops of Jupiter just coming on the radio. And I that's what I always associate the song with, is just like after a long day of freaking whatever I was doing that day. I think it was an academic competition or
I
public
mean, it's
speaking.
kind of comfort food, like at this point, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about like a lot of these songs. Where even if I don't
Definitely
think
has that vibe, yeah.
not one of my favorite songs of all time, like I don't intentionally listen to Drops of Jupiter. I'm not in my room like restarting Train albums every single night. But if Drops of Jupiter comes on the radio, like I'm probably gonna listen to it if I'm listening to the radio. Like it's a good song. I like it. It reminds me of being in middle school and my dad driving me home. So
So
that's
you were
pretty
driving. So you were in the car and there were raindrops of Jupiter.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why it's so embedded in my memory.
Oh, damn! I was just
thinking
making a shitty pun. Damn.
like the raindrops or like of Jupiter. Yeah.
So what's weird to me though is that you said that it's like supermarket or whatever at the beginning of the conversation, and I just for some reason like can't see that at all because it's like such an emotional song and it was so affecting. Like the second or third time I heard it, after I made it past the fried chicken line, I guess.
US supermarkets like do not play songs that you would think that they would play, very basic like cookie cutter songs. But when Jen says supermarket core, like I know exactly what she's talking about, and the very first song that comes to my head is Wonderwall.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Really?
They play Wonderwall everywhere here. I actually
that makes absolutely no sense to me.
I didn't even realize that Wonderwall was from the 90s when I was a kid. I thought it was like a recent hit when I was starting to really become like cognizant of stuff. And after a couple of years, I was like, man, they're really not stopping playing this song. It must be a huge hit. And I looked it up and it was released in like whenever it was, like 94 or something.
So I was talking earlier about Don't Know Why by Norah Jones. This is a perfect example of a song that you're like, is really kind of tender and emotional, and yet they play it in supermarkets, and I swear to God, I hear it every time. Every time I'm in line to get my hormones or whatever, that's playing.
Oh, that actually reminds me. Listening to this song, just a little bit right now, is another one of those songs is Tracy Chapman's "Fast Car."
Yeah, Fast Car. That's why I know that.
One of the most emotional hit songs of all time. That song makes me cry, but they play it in like pizza parlors.
Exactly. That's actually a really, really great example of that, and I think it's kind of like the Shoo Shoo cover sort of embodies how faulty it is to be playing it at a pizza parlor.
Yeah, exactly. The Shoo Shoo cover.
Playing the Shoo Shoo cover at a pizza parlor.
I mean, I think most people here would know that Shoo Shoo is one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't even think the Shoo Shoo cover is as emotional as the Tracy Chapman one.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like the Tracy Chapman just has such a raw emotion. It's hard to even think of other songs that are in a similar plane.
Drops of Jupiter, maybe?
Drops of Jupiter, yeah.
So, I think I should finally segue into what I think of this song. My thoughts can kind of be summed up in one sentence. Obviously, I'll elaborate, but my brother texted me once, and I'm looking back at it so I get the words exactly right. My brother texted me once out of absolutely nowhere. Started a conversation with this. Drops of Jupiter is such a good song. I am upset that it is written and performed by Train.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I feel about this. I know, was it Klara? Was it you that was talking about how you don't really think that the emotional instrumentation is all that great?
Yeah.
I really, really like it. I love the arrangement on this. And I mean, it could be sort of a warm nostalgia thing, like the comfort food that Jane was talking about, but I absolutely adore everything about this song. It's so simple, but I really like the progression of like the primary driving melody, the da na 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 na. It kind of climbs forward and back and forward and back and forward and back, and keeps this really, really interesting kind of dynamic going, even though it's such a stupid simple pop song.
Mm.
And I think that there really is a lot of fantastic emotion embedded into it, just by nature of not only the performance being so great, but also the whole like, obviously the story behind it, which, and I'll go back to the Wikipedia page to make sure I'm not just making shit up completely. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a song about like his mother who had passed away.
Mm.
Yeah, here, background and writing. Lead singer Pat Monahan has stated that the song was inspired by his late mother, who died after a struggle with cancer, and that the opening lines came to him in a dream. He said, the process creation wasn't easy. I just couldn't figure out what to write. But then I woke up from a dream about a year after my mother had passed away with the words, back in the atmosphere. It was just her way of saying what it was like. She was swimming through the planets and came to me with drops of Jupiter in her hair. The verse has a noted resemblance to the chorus of Drift Away. What? I never
I love
thought of
that
that.
they follow up that very emotional passage of like Pat bearing his heart for his most emotional song ever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, this song is a ripoff.
It is. Does it? I'm trying to think. Yeah. Oh my god, it does. Oh my god!
Are they,
Fuck!
are
They
they
ruined
credited as
it!
co-writers? Are they credited as co-writers or something? Like, why would
Maybe,
Wikipedia mention it otherwise?
I don't know. Maybe it's just like, well, there's a citation on it, and the citation is it's like a Rolling Stone article from 2002. So all the way back in 2002, people were, I guess, saying this. Let's see what the Rolling Stone article says. Train has two utterly hummable radio hits: Meet Virginia, a jangly tune from their debut, and the 5 times Grammy-nominated Drops of Jupiter, a slice of white soul simultaneously reminiscent of Dobie Gray's 1973 classic Drift Away. Is that it? Yeah, that's the only time it's mentioned on the entire article. So they literally somebody probably just like was really annoyed about the fact that they couldn't get one song out of their head without thinking of the other, and was like, I need to find something
Yeah.
credible enough to shoehorn it into the Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
Maybe they wrote the article and then they were like, people need to know about this.
Yeah,
That's what's
it's like
so,
the people need to know. It's like expose
Yeah.
journalism.
that's what's so crazy about Wikipedia to me is like, for the most part, like blatantly false stuff is going to get removed instantly, especially for big articles. But as I
Mhm.
found out from a few of my craftier friends, you can just kind of lie on Wikipedia and fudge up the sources that you use to make it look credible, and sometimes it just doesn't get removed. Like there was a friend of mine who on the Wikipedia page for the hashtag symbol, like the number symbol,
Yeah.
put that in some countries it's called a waffle, and to my knowledge, it has never been removed.
Let me check. Is it cited to something? Like you mean the pound sign page?
Yeah, I don't even think it's cited to anything, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I just control F. Oh no, wait. This is the I need the number sign page. It took me to like the sterling pound. Yeah, okay, waffle. Citation needed.
Oh no.
It's been up there for this has to have been this was I think it was like I think I was in 8th grade when she did that. So it's been up there for years.
But it still says citation needed.
Yeah, but they don't remove it. They say citation is needed, but they do leave it on the page because they're like, I think that's right. We just need you to back it up.
So weird. Why would they just like I would think citation needed should be something that like sends a message to the person who wrote it and then says like, "Hey,
Also,
if you can't fix this in like 30 days or whatever, we'll remove it."
yeah.
You'd think so. There's also a really weird one on I think it's the voice actress for Sandy from SpongeBob. And it was like
Yeah.
mentioning that she was a guest in this one like internet show. And I don't remember the name of the internet show, but I couldn't find I literally the only thing I found about it online was this incredibly crude, like first 2 minutes or so of it on YouTube. And it was just some dude in his basement, like recording himself. He was like a 30-something-year-old, but he was acting like Fred Figglehorn. And I was like looking into it, and I checked the Wikipedia page for when that was added, and it was added in like 2007 or something, and nobody ever fixed it. There's no citation or anything.
Okay, are you talking
Brilliant.
about this line right here? She plays in 2008 she appeared as herself, interviewed for the online comedy video series Abigail's X-rated teen diary.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I couldn't find anything about that series aside from like one YouTube video.
That's so bizarre. I'm gonna look into this actually because that's kind of funny.
Yes,
But
please
okay,
do.
so while I'm looking into this, let me just say, "Drops of Jupiter," great song. I have a lot of great memories attached to it. Like, I don't know if any of you guys know my friend Kay. I guess Jane probably does because you're in
I
that
do.
server with Kay, who's the other admin in Rosentalk.
Yeah.
But we would visit each other a couple times a week whenever they were still living in California, and we would be like in their dorm room with an acoustic guitar playing songs that were super simple, but like songs that everybody knew, and we would just like surprise each other with the chord sheets and take turns playing the guitar and belting out these songs with the window open. Drops of Jupiter was always our favorite because that was the one that we both agreed is like still a really good song.
Tell me.
The other song that I feel is like the great equalizer is Flagpole Sitta, but like not nearly as many people know that one for some reason. But everybody who has heard it loves it.
For some reason, I know that one. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of those songs that like pop up now on the internet where everybody's like, "Oh, you should have known this." So maybe that's where I saw it at some point. But I
Yeah.
definitely never heard it over here in like the radio, whatever.
I'm not sure I've ever heard it.
Really?
I'm
It's
not
the one that
sure.
goes like, "I'm not sick, but I'm not well." And I don't think they say Flagpole Sitta in the song.
I can't even remember who
No, I
it's
don't think so.
by.
It's Harvey Danger, who's a
Yeah.
totally underrated. Like the dude from Harvey Danger is Sean Nelson, I want to say. He's got like such incredible songwriting chops, and they do this like cool piano rock thing. And they were just so in the shadow of this song that eventually they were like, I guess we'll just call it quit. Like I don't think that was like the reason for it, but they never really picked up traction beyond being one hit wonders. And they gave up after
Mm.
3 albums, which sucks because I really think like their second record, like Flagpole Sit is on the first one, their second record is called King James Version. Like I love that song or that album so much. He's got like not only is he a fantastic songwriter, but he has this showmanship that kind of proves to me that he was probably a theater kid when he was younger. There's a lot of singers that you can just feel like I think John Congleton probably was, like Gerard Way, and then there's totally you can hear it in his voice on like the first 30 seconds of that first track. Even on Flagpole City, he's just very theatrical with the way he kind of projects his voice, and I really love artists like that.
Like Pat Monahan.
Yeah, like Pat Monahan, exactly. Yeah. We haven't even touched on it. I don't know if you guys know about this. I think Anthony touched on this too at some point. But a couple of years back, Train did a full cover album of Led Zeppelin 2 for
What on earth?
I think okay, bear with me here. I think that the reason for this is that they like either started as a Led Zeppelin cover band or they like constantly play Led Zeppelin cover songs during their live sets or both. But they were like, "Why don't we just record Led Zeppelin 2?" I think it's also, like, really, really low rated on Rate Your Music.
Holy fuck.
Only imagine. I mean, if we're
Like, let's
combining,
see, it's 1.28.
Oh shit.
oh man, yeah. I mean,
Ah,
thinking back on it, like in that article earlier, Rolling Stone rather did refer to them as white soul, and Led Zeppelin were basically gentrified white blues. So it kind of makes sense.
It does make perfect sense, you're right. It is, like, Led Zeppelin built a career on stealing from black musicians and never crediting them. And then I mean, there's obviously more jokes to be made about how this is better or worse than Greta Van Fleet, but it's the same idea, right?
uh,
So there's a comment on the Rate Your Music page that says it says, "Please refer to the title of track 2," and the title of track 2 is "What Is and What Should Never Be." And then there's a the most recent comment is my favorite. It says, "Petition for them to do Chaos Is Me." So I think maybe we should, like, talk about that album sometime. Like, listen
yeah,
to it.
I'm very morbidly curious now.
I don't even like Led Zeppelin, but I wanna know which version is better. Like, we should do a listening party where we listen to both back to back and decide.
We should do a listening party where we listen to both simultaneously and see where Train fuck up.
Oh my god.
Actually, from what I've heard, it's like a perfect one-to-one cover, but that's it. It's like they don't do anything interesting. It's just,
Oh,
like,
okay.
very one note, although I haven't heard any of it, so
So the descriptors, like the first descriptor is sexual passion. Like, now I'm very curious.
I mean,
fantastic.
that's the Led Zeppelin special. I mean, Train's not going to change.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
true.
like, do you think I think if anybody trained, make it less sexy.
Train that definitely makes it less sexy, but they somehow make it more sexual.
Holy fuck. That makes me very uncomfortable. Yeah.
What's that line in Hey Soul Sister? I'm gonna look it up real quick. It's like the least sexy line I've ever heard in any song.
I think I probably know all the words, so if you know how it roughly goes.
So gangsta, I'm so thug.
What?
I forgot about that line. So gangsta, I'm so thug.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good, like, microcosm of just how much gentrifying we're doing here.
Yeah, I identified as asexual for several years. I thought I was asexual, and I am not entirely positive Train didn't contribute to that.
Subconscious government trying to keep us all from engaging in horny activities.
That's right.
But I never read the lyrics to this, and I want to fucking die.
Your
That's
legs
on
lipstick stains.
bad.
On the front lobe of my left side brain.
So is that the
pitch
lyric
perfect
you were
singing.
talking about? You said it was the least sexy thing.
Yeah,
I think
I mean,
I was conflating that one. I'm so gangsta. I'm so thug. By the way, I'm sorry if this
God.
podcast gets like content ID'd for my pitch perfect recreation of Pat Monahan's singing voice.
Yeah, I mean, that is devastating with it. All right, I think now's the time to get into the lyrics. Oh my god, I just went
Woo!
to the Genius page. I feel like this is kind of a fucked up thing to say. What has
Mm.
Pat Monahan said about the song here? My mother died of cancer because she smoked cigarettes. Her downfall was Coca-Cola and Winston.
Oh
I
God.
saw that earlier because I read all the lyrics to every song I listen to like on Genius, and I saw that just because I clicked on the annotation and I saw they said I was like, what the fuck?
That's kind of, I mean, cigarettes okay. I mean, Coca-Cola's not good for you, but I don't think it'd give her.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse is the idea that Pat is like blaming his mom for her lifestyle choices, or the idea that Pat is trying to build a suit against Coca-Cola for getting his mom killed.
That would be really funny if he was like, "Your Honor, I present Exhibit A," and it's just like an MP3 of Drops of Jupiter. Or no, better, it's like it's a court case, so it's got to be like a WAV file. He gives
Yeah.
gives the judge a WAV file of Drops of Jupiter and says, "I think
Oh, no.
Coca-Cola might have killed my mom."
It's the flax. He just did the flax file.
I mean, if he's talking about unhealthy diet choices,
They're talking about fried chicken.
yeah, the fried chicken. Is this
Do you think
appropriate?
that's like a
Is this
dig?
okay to say? Are we evil?
No, he makes up for it by having the soy latte though. It's a balance.
Oh,
right,
okay,
right,
yeah,
yes,
you're
yes,
right, you're right. The soy
Yes.
latte is like for whenever you're craving a Coca-Cola, but you get your caffeine elsewhere.
Are we evil?
Are we? No, of course not.
It's fine.
We're like 20 years detached from this. I mean, it happened around
Yeah.
the same time as 9/11, and there are podcasts about that, so we're fine. All right,
Yo,
Drops of Jupiter lyrics. Verse 1. Now that she's back in the atmosphere with drops of Jupiter in her hair, she acts like summer and walks like rain. Reminds me that there's time to change. Hey. Since the return from her stay on the moon, she listens like spring and she talks like June. Hey. I never understood that part.
So June is capitalized here as well? I thought it was just like the month of June, but apparently not.
The month of June is capitalized.
Well, the month of
Oh.
June is capitalized, yeah.
I just can't speak English apparently. Okay, that explains it. Okay, I thought it was like some girl called June. But yeah, that makes sense.
She talks like June. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not
I mean-
that June reminds me of my mom. My mom
Yeah.
reminds me of June.
Yeah.
God, imagine if like Pat Monahan was married to a woman named June or something, and it'd be like,
Oh
Oh,
no. Fuck.
like a whole Jeff
Can
Mangum
you
and Frank.
imagine the freaking like Freudian interpretation of Drops of Jupiter?
I
Oh
know, it's gonna
no.
be so
Oh, Christ.
Okay, so what do we think of these like this first verse? I mean, it's kind of sweet. I think some of it kind of means nothing. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
yeah.
it's very emotional. It's very
like a poem, like,
it's like-
right?
Wistful
like,
and airy poetic
eighth grade.
nonsense, kind of. It's very sweet. I just don't know how substantial it is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
This
acts
is
like
the-
summer and walks like rain. I think is pretty great line. I like that line.
yeah. I
Yeah, I
remember
do
we
like-
were like made to write like poems in 8th grade in German class, and they kind of sounded like this, but this is like a little bit better. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I've showed Jen some of my poetry before.
Yes, you have. We exchanged poems, and I'm not gonna talk about those on here.
Yeah, that's understandable. I would talk about mine.
Makes sense.
Do an episode of that. Do you think reminds me that that there's time to change is about like his mom's lifestyle choices? Like if he's
Yes, no,
blaming,
I absolutely do.
I think so, especially like in verse 2 where it's about like trying new things. Although Mozart doesn't really have anything to do with a healthy lifestyle, but like the thing about Tabo.
No, but yeah, I mean, like we can draw a parallel there. Like she checks out Mozart while she does Taibo, reminds me that there's room to grow, and then this is like there's time to change.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like he's looking at
Mm.
he's both looking at her kind of untimely passing and saying, I still have time to do these things in my life, so I better live my life to the fullest. But I also need to make sure that when I do that, I need to change the more negative aspects of my lifestyle, kind of.
I really like the genius annotation here, which is like, so his mother's ghost isn't actually listening to Mozart and doing Tybo. Sorry to disappoint. Like, thank you.
I saw that too.
Oh my
Because I didn't know what Tybo was, so I clicked on that. And instead of telling me what Tybo is, it just said that.
Mark this as missing something.
The one line that trips me up, I guess there is an annotation for this, but since the return of her stay on the moon, she listens like spring and she talks like June. What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? There is an annotation that says here that since spring comes before June, train means she listens first and then talks first. No, I think what Zoe Star 2 means is that she listens like spring first and then she talks second.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Do you guys believe that? Like, there's one upvote on this.
I mean, that kind of makes some level of sense. I don't think Train put that much thought into it.
No, I don't either.
I'm going to put that out
Yeah.
there. I mean, also, if we're getting pedantic about it, June is mostly spring. It's only like
No,
a
it is.
third
Yeah,
summer.
it's not until the 21st of June that it becomes summer, right?
Yeah.
So, and what is the return of her stay on the moon? Like, I can understand the whole like she's going to the moon because her like it's a spiritual journey in the afterlife. But why is she returning?
Yeah, I think my reading of that would be like she's gone, but he's like seeing her vision now.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like she's back now, but it's like in a different form. And now
she's inspiring him to do like yoga and shit. Like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the concept of the whole song. That's why she's back in the atmosphere, because she's like coming back.
yeah, she's like
Ah.
inspiring him. She's like this perfect version of herself, I guess, like inspiring him, and that's why she talks like or listens like spring and talks like June, because those
and
are nice things.
it's probably literally like his state of mind when he was writing this. Like when he described like what you said, we woke up and then he sees those lines, you know, in front of him, and it's like his mom saying it, and his new lifestyle choices and that going through his head.
Okay, I really like that actually. I'm probably gonna. I think I think we're gonna walk out of this with a new appreciation for this song.
This is true.
Okay, chorus. But tell me, did you sail across the sun? Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all faded and that heaven is overrated? Tell me, did you fall from a shooting star? One without a permanent scar? And did you miss me while you were looking for yourself out there? I've always really liked that ending line, even though I don't think I've ever put a ton of like thought into what that in particular means, but I think it really sounds nice. Like I get the, did you miss me? Well,
Yeah.
I really, in the context of missing somebody as a form of grief, I really do enjoy that.
Yeah. In the great tradition of pop songs that have lyrics that don't necessarily mean anything specific, but are poetic enough to apply to just about any situation.
Oh yeah.
Definitely up there.
Definitely.
This is like an all-time great in terms of that. Like, can you think of a song that does it better than this?
That's a good question.
I mean, I guess it's difficult for me to impose that on the two of you who haven't spent your entire life with this, but I guess Jane specifically.
Just like a song everybody can apply their life experiences to. I'm honestly not sure. Like, I feel like a lot of the really emotional
songs that's like really poetically written, but kind of probably doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, very like flowery.
Yeah.
Movie Days.
With Movie Days, it's probably more like he had like a crazy idea that's like really extremely deep. He just couldn't say it, I think. Like human words aren't made for that. That's my theory for Movie Days, at least.
The story transcends language.
Yeah,
Yes.
for real.
I mean, they do say music is a universal language.
True.
Without getting into the whole like, whole recent uptick in people being aware of how like racist and colonialized quote unquote music theory is or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that at least all cultures enjoy music, whether they study it the same way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is sort of a universal constant is that I don't want to assert anything as a universal constant. That's probably a bad idea. Mostly, we've had music for a really long time in just about every corner of human culture.
Yeah,
So,
that actually does interest me. When I took human geography, they taught us that their language developed individually 3 times, and that every other time that language developed, it came from one of those 3 places. And I think it was China, Mesopotamia, and Latin America were the 3 places where like language developed.
oh,
that they taught us. I would be interested in seeing how that applies to music as well. If there is even
That would be cool, yeah.
I've taken like a music history course, but it was a very like entry level kind of just skimming the details thing. So I wouldn't assert any of that.
yeah,
What
mine
I'm
was
saying is
literally
super
they
factual, but
the year that I took it, they changed it from intro to music history to intro to Western music. So they at least
Yeah.
were aware. They were aware of the flaws in their course. They just decided to change the name of the course instead of correcting them.
there you go.
That's at least
Pretty
honest.
interesting though. I found out Martin Luther, the Protestant dude, was like
Yeah.
very racist.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it shouldn't surprise me for you to say anybody from history was racist, but
Mm-hmm.
for him to be having a problem with discrimination in the Catholic Church,
Mm-hmm.
So
Anti-Semitic and stuff. And the reason we studied him actually, because Martin Luther's obviously most well known for being the Protestant guy, but he also was like a renowned composer at the time as well.
Oh wow, I had no idea about that.
I
Never
didn't-
heard
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Good for
I
you.
had to do a report on him.
So the important part is that train is like a universal language for all of you. Is that what we learned?
Yeah, what we're
Yeah.
saying is that basically Pat Monahan, Point Monahan, is the universal language speaker, and he is the one who knows how to unify all people. But because we spent too
Yeah,
long
okay,
making
that
fun
makes
of the hefty bag to hold my I love line from Drive-By's song, we've angered Pat Monahan, and that's why we're in the shit that we're in right now.
So it's the Tower of Babel too, basically.
Yeah,
We all used to live in harmony, and then we criticize that line. And now we're
yeah, Mike was perfect before
Yeah.
2011 or whatever.
God, I think that like
Beautiful.
this really, I mean, obviously because of how popular I thought the song was, and then over the years I've been realizing that that's kind of an American thing, or maybe also in Britain, who knows, but at least in a very kind of English speaking, you know what I'm trying to say, essentially.
Mhm.
At least because of that, I kind of thought that this is one of the songs that was so popular that it might have gotten translated into other languages. Like, I know that the Beatles, "She Loves You" was there's a German version of that, and there's a German version of, "I Wanna Hold Your Hand." So, I had always
Yeah,
thought,
okay.
like, I wonder how many people do that in the modern day.
Mhm.
The only other song I can think of is, like, "99 Red Balloons," because obviously that's
Yeah,
more
99 Red
popular.
Balloons is a big one.
oh,
And I
there's
was-
Wasn't
the
that
there's that after the there's that what's it called? There's the U.S. version of their Commissar after the fire.
Oh
There
yeah, yeah,
is?
yeah.
I haven't heard that.
I-
That sounds extremely horrible.
Yeah, it's like people like I've talked to many people from the U.S. that did not know that that was originally Falco's song. My mom is a bit of a
Wait,
Falco
really?
fan for whatever reason,
Come
so like
on.
I knew it. But no, like I've talked to several people that did not know that was Falco's song, and they know who Falco is because of Rock Me Amadeus, but they don't know that after the fire, sorry, after the band, that
Yeah.
their Commissar is also his song.
That's
Yeah,
kind of shitty because it's like he was specifically trying to emulate the US and like try to break out into the US. And then they just like took a song. And, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic USA, I guess.
I've
What
actually
song you
thought
guys
about
talking about?
it's Der Kommissar, the Falco song.
Yeah,
I-
Der Kommissar.
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
It's have you heard Rock Me Amadeus, the 80s hit?
No.
You haven't heard Rock Me
It
Amadeus?
goes hard, honestly.
Maybe I have, and I just don't know it by name.
Amadeus.
Because, I mean, like, I definitely know the
Amadeus.
name of the song, but I don't know that I've ever heard it.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think it was developed independently from Amadeus, the movie that won Best Picture, but I think it was like it kind of like got popular in the our country, our great, fantastic nation that can do no wrong, because Amadeus was such a big hit.
Yeah, roughly the same time. That idea of like Amadeus as a rock star, basically.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
he
yeah, I
kind
saw
of
the movie.
was.
I
I mean,
watched it in music class once. So if they use the song in the movie, then I've heard it. But
They definitely don't. I've watched Amadeus. I'm pretty positive they
I'm
don't
not
use like
looking
any
to look
modern.
it
I mean, they should have. But yeah, probably.
Yeah, they
couldn't do it.
definitely should have. I think it would have fit for the period piece feel that they were going really well for them to have that 80s dance club hit.
Absolutely.
I think they should have implied that Mozart wrote Rock Me Amadeus. Honestly, like
Yeah,
a Back to the
absolutely.
Future
He
type.
did.
Falco got the idea from Mozart.
Yeah. No, Falco is Mozart, just reincarnated.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
think
not know? Like,
that's a great idea.
that's common knowledge.
this reminds me of. Have you guys ever heard that? I think it's probably a decade old, or maybe it was like a Newgrounds thing. that one like George Washington song with the really
Oh.
shitty animation.
Yeah, I remember
You know
that.
the
What?
one I'm talking about where it's like Washington, Washington. This is what that reminds me of.
Wait, I
Very-
think I might know what you're talking about, but I'm
The
not
very, like,
sure.
Overpronounced, like, staccato pronunciation.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's like the logical evolution is, I guess, what we're talking about here. So, okay, so what's the other song from this guy that you were
Der
talking about?
Kommissar.
Der Kommissar.
The Commissar.
We all
Oh,
pronounced
okay,
it
yeah,
different
so it
ways. You
comes
could
up-
probably you just average out our 3 pronunciations and you'll find
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Der Kommissar.
Yeah, wait. There you go.
I don't know, it's got kind of like a generic synth melody going for it. Like,
Dope.
okay, yeah, I guess that's fun. Better than the
It's better
30
than Rock Me
seconds of
Amadeus.
Yes, I listened to.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not high art or anything.
No, I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're talking about Drops of Jupiter here, so it's fine.
Yeah, true.
That's understandable.
It's only
Yeah.
high art in the sense that it's poetic nonsense. It mostly doesn't mean anything unless
The
your
only
mom is-
thing that slightly pisses me off about that song is that everybody thinks it's like, iconic for Neue Deutsche Welle, which is like a whole genre basically. And it's like him trying to emulate US musicians, which is like absolutely not it at all. And so people think that's the most German thing they've ever.
Wait, actually,
And-
Clara,
Hmm?
what is Der Kommissar about? Because I have no idea to this day.
I mean, it's really
Yeah, that's a good explanation.
there's no concept or anything to it. It's just talking about like a police guy basically, and like he's so cool and he's like a rock star and whatever. He's talking about like his brother Hip. Literally, his name is Hip, which is like I mean, it makes me kind of. You don't try to listen to the lyrics.
Okay.
Perfect.
We kind of already did some of the second verse here, but now that she's back from that soul vacation, tracing her way through the constellation, hey, she checks out Mozart while she does Tybo. Reminds me that there's room to grow. Hey, now that she's back in the atmosphere, I'm afraid that she might think of me as plain old Jane. Shout out. Told a story about a man who was too afraid to fly, so he never did land. I don't know. What do we think?
I mean, I like the interpretation that she checks out Mozart while she does Tybo is like she's like inspiring him to become maybe a healthier, more cultured person. Although the idea that checking out Mozart is what he has to do for that is kind of
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but there's room
I
to
think
grow.
that it's like, yeah, he still has room to grow even after he's written it. But like,
Yeah.
I think that ultimately that's just a way of kind of conveying to the most people. Like Mozart is such a household name and just synonymous with like such high class culture or whatever. Even if there's very kind of embedded racist and classist ideologies in saying that, that's probably where he was coming
I
from.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, it would be like using like Shakespeare as like the peak of literature or whatever.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's the fact that Shakespeare is considered like the only good choice for best author ever is kind of a racist notion, but at the same time, like you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was a good author.
Yeah. I mean, the most generous interpretation that I can give is like his mother urging him to actually live for the first time in his life from beyond the grave, which is
Yeah,
like
like pursue like actual interests instead of drinking Coca-Cola and
just
smoking.
the way
weed.
that he says it is like, I'm going to listen to Mozart now, which is like, I mean, it comes across in the song because of how he delivers it. I think that sells it, so it doesn't really need to.
Yeah, his
be
delivery.
super-
And I don't want to credit Pat Monahan for everything, but his delivery is pretty good on this song. Pretty good.
So what is the plain old Jane told a story about a man who was too afraid to fly, so he never did land? Do you think that that's like?
That's him, right?
I mean, yeah.
Right.
Do you think that that's just kind of him being like? It's just kind of reinforcing the previous idea that he needs to kind of get out of his comfort zone and try new things.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Because he's afraid that he's afraid for her to think of him like that. So in order for her not to think of him like that, I'm afraid she might think of me as this story that's told of this guy that didn't do anything and that didn't take any risks.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Basically, he's gonna change to Pepsi now. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
I'm literally drinking a Pepsi as we're talking about this.
He's taking the plunge. He's decided to drink Pepsi products for the first time. He's going to the local.
Let me see if there's any pictures of Pat Monahan drinking soda and like what his soda of choice is.
Probably Sprite. I think Pat
Just
Monahan
Google
is
Pat Monahan.
a strong
Pat
Sprite.
Monahan is the subject of Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies,
Yeah.
where the guy is like asking his mom
Oh
for
my
a
God,
Pepsi, and she won't let him get a Pepsi because she's too into
Yes.
Coke. And it makes sense.
Oh, okay. Here, I got a BuzzFeed article of all things. Now you'll finally know what a drop of Jupiter is. Oh, okay. So this will tell us exactly what that means.
Yay!
Wait, what?
It's
So
drops
the
of
drops
Pepsi.
Jupiter are just Pepsi.
The
Yeah.
drops of Jupiter are just the little teaspoons from the Pepsi cans, obviously.
Yeah.
And his mom is encouraging him to make the switch and take a risk.
This makes perfect sense.
So what exactly is a drop of Jupiter? Pat says, my mother, she was able to swim through planets and turn them into whatever she wanted. They didn't have to be what we know them to be, so she actually had Jupiter in her hair when she was talking to me. I mean, that's still kind of nothing.
Yeah, that has absolutely no meaning, I think. It's
How long
just
did it take
pretty.
you to write it? I wrote almost the whole thing in about a half hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah, there
dear.
you go.
There are some great songs that were
And the
written in
song
about
is
a half hour.
the best soy latte that you ever had. Was there an actual best latte? You know, I wasn't even drinking coffee at the time, but everyone in the band drank lattes and soy lattes, so it was just like a potentially great realistic portion of the song. I got heat about a few of the lyrics in that song. It was definitely either the record company or the guy producing the track. Soy latte was definitely something that my producer wanted to get rid of. Fried chicken, my record company wanted to get rid of. Wow, everybody hates him. And there may have been one other lyric that somebody wanted to change. So we didn't change any of them, and I'm really grateful for that.
Let's go.
Get
Sticking
out
to your
here.
guns.
Plain taste soul.
I like to think that Pat Monahan is actually like a musical, lyrical genius, but his record company keeps making him switch everything.
Yeah, maybe that's why it drops to Jupiter. Like they were like, all right, we let you have this one, but after that, you've got to write Hazel Sister.
Yeah, you
Just keep
gotta
getting
He wrote like some beautiful poetic stuff about like police brutality in the U.S. or whatever, and the record company was like, "Can you? We got a sponsorship from Hefty."
What's really funny about that is there's actually like really, really good political commentary on the latest Coldplay record, and
Wait, what? Really?
the only Coldplay album that didn't have a massive hit on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder if the
Like, I
label.
barely even found out it existed, so yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, like if
Yeah.
you go to their like top played songs on Spotify and look at the top 10, it's all their first like what is it, 6, 7 albums or whatever.
Yeah,
Is
and
this
the,
is this is this after the EP that had Big Sean on it?
Wait, what?
the what?
That exists?
Because if so, I think it had somebody. Maybe it's not Big Sean. I think it is. Because if so, I haven't even heard of this album. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. I remember. Yeah. Because the singles were good apparently, but then I never listened. But then I completely forgot that it existed. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought the
After there's an
It's
EP.
like a
Hold
punk
on.
rock song, right? It's
There's
great.
definitely Miracles and between parentheses someone special Coldplay featuring Big Sean. Yeah. Kaleidoscope EP. There was also like this acoustic version of
Oh.
it. There was also this acoustic version of the Coldplay of the Chainsmokers collaboration on it.
How the fuck?
They had to get all those cosigns so they could do the risky thing of talking about political issues.
Yeah, exactly. No, but there's like songs about like gun control and police brutality and stuff. It's actually really, really, and especially like in the context of a UK band talking about very, not like strictly American issues, but they don't even have guns in the UK.
Yeah,
Mm.
they don't even call them guns over there. It's like muskets, right?
Something like that. Rudy Tooty point and shooties.
Yeah.
Okay, now we need to get into the second chorus, which changes a little bit. But tell me, did the wind sweep you off your feet? Did you finally get the chance to dance along the light of day and head back to the Milky Way? Tell me, did Venus blow your mind? Was it everything you wanted to find? And did you miss me while you were looking for yourself out there? Do you have anything to comment on here? Because I feel like it's a lot of the same, kind of.
I think this whole song is about. I think the chorus, at least, is about his mom craving a Milky Way, but she can't eat it. It's like a Milky Way bar, but she can't eat it because she keeps having to go help him. So it's like, did you make it to the Milky Way? Like like just heading back there. But every time you're like heading back to the Milky Way bar, it's like, hey mom, I need your help.
It's like the SpongeBob episode where Squidward has the day off, but he has to keep running back to help SpongeBob because SpongeBob keeps panicking.
Yes.
It's his mom just sitting there with the
yes, like
Milky Way.
Kravitz. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Is the Lenny Kravitz "Fly Away" lyrics video where it just keeps editing to say he wants to fuck Milky Way or whatever.
Wait, I thought that was the original song. Is that not the original song? It clearly says like.
No, it's not the original song. It's not Lenny Kravitz didn't write the song about the Milky Way.
No, I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did.
I think it has the words Milky Way in it. I don't think it's.
It's not about fucking the Milky Way.
No, I think it is. I think it is.
He might want to drive his. He might want to drive his spaceship into that black hole. You don't know.
Clara, didn't you tell me that somebody played this for Lenny Kravitz and he was like, "What the fuck"?
Yeah, it was somewhere in the comments. Like I scrolled down for ages, and I mean, it's just a comment. I don't know.
That's so fantastic. Like I really hope he's heard it, and that's true.
Yeah, that'll be
I
fun.
really hope he's heard it and he hates it, and he hates Neil Cicierega's guts, and he like has the blood
so
vendetta.
funny if he like actually performed it. He showed up to a concert and like played it that way just once.
Mm-hmm. There's the guy who wrote American Pie, Don McLean, has actually sung the Weird Al parody at concerts before.
Yeah, that's right. Because he gets
wow.
confused in his head apparently because he loves the other one so much.
Mm-hmm. And it's like his kid's favorite song of all time, I think, is the Weird Al parody of American Pie.
Which is, of course, about the Star Wars prequels.
My, this here Anakin guy.
What if Adrian Brody and Lenny Kravitz have bonded over their mutual hatred for Neil Cicierega?
That would actually be really fun.
What if there's like a Neil Cicierega cinematic universe and they're making like a league of evildoers who are going to take on Neil? And it's just all the people he's wronged. And at the head of it is Noel Gallagher, who hates all the...
And then it's going to be...
The head of it is Steve Hartwell of Smash Mouth.
I think he would be on their side.
Yeah. Well, then it's going to be the ultimate showdown of history, too.
Yeah, exactly. Except Neil is actually at the center of this one.
Yeah, so Neil's actually, like, for the last decade has been planning the actual Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny with just all these celebrities he's made fun of.
Yeah, he's been deliberately pissing people off.
Okay, now this is essentially the last part we have to talk about, but it is kind of a crucial part. The bridge.
I agree, absolutely.
Can you imagine no love, pride, deep fried chicken, your best friend always sticking up for you, even when I know you're wrong? Can you imagine no first dance, freeze-dried romance, 5-hour phone conversation, the best soy latte that you ever had, and me? What are our thoughts?
So the thing is, like, all of this is supposed to be good, right? But freeze-dried romance doesn't sound like a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know what that line means, like freeze-dried romance and the no love, pride.
Yeah, it's like half of it is bad, half of it is good.
I think it's just like nostalgia, you know, it colors everything like a rose into color for him, so he doesn't really care. You know, it's not like a thing of like, oh, this is what's great about my childhood or whatever. This is just memories thing. You know?
Right.
That's at least how I heard it first time.
Maybe now I'm thinking like freeze-dried romance is kind of just thinking back and preserving that moment in time.
Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. Probably.
Yeah, maybe it's like live flashing before someone's eyes or something. And they see deep fried chicken.
Yeah, deep fried chicken, freeze-dried. Well, I just realized that there's that. Like,
you know what I just realized is that
What?
this song reminds me of LCD Sound System's "Someone Great."
Why?
Just I don't know. This part especially where he's getting like specific about all the stuff that he misses from their relationship reminds me of the part in "Someone Great" where he's talking about how he misses like spending hours in the basement with his therapist.
Oh.
And like even though that's kind of a negative thing, he wishes he had it back because his therapist is gone now.
No.
It reminds me of that.
Oh yeah, and they even have like a coffee mention in that too. Like the coffee isn't bitter because
the coffee isn't even bitter. It's not raining outside. All that stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe this is like describing like the heaven that like his mom is in, and instead of all of these incredible things that you might imagine heaven to be, it's just like the simple memories or something.
That's interesting. Yeah. 5-hour conversation. I don't know if I ever want to have a 5-hour phone conversation. I think
I've done it. I definitely.
Yeah, same. Maybe don't, but like I've did it.
Well, I mean, I've been in I was in a really like a long distance relationship for a while that was like right now I'm separated from my partner just because they go to school and I mean we go to school together but I'm not on campus for COVID reasons, but like I was in a relationship where we literally like lived and went to different schools in different states and we would just be on the phone every single night for hours and hours and hours. So I totally do relate to that line. I don't know if I would ever do it with my mom for 5 hours.
I think that's the part that got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Can't
mom
imagine
mostly calls me to talk about my dad and the crazy shit he said. So
that. Oh no.
My parents aren't even together, so I don't get that. My mom doesn't really have any friends anymore.
my parents aren't together either, but my dad still sends my mom crazy stuff sometimes.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm really sorry.
No, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. I just kind of laugh.
Oh yeah, I'm just leaning into it a little bit. So yeah, I mean, let's just say, can you imagine no love? That's a good thing. Pride, good. Deep fried chicken. Like, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe she really liked fried chicken. Your best friend always sticking up for you, even when I know you're wrong. Objectively, very good thing. Can you imagine no first dance, freeze dried romance, 5-hour phone conversation, and the best soy latte that you ever had? And me? It's like, are you missing all these things? Can you imagine living without these things? He's kind of rubbing it in to his dead
Mm,
mom. It's like, guy, can you imagine living without all these things that you're living without right now?
yeah. Usually it's supposed to like build up to something, right? When you're like enumerating things and it's like at the end it's like the greatest of all and it's just a soda. Like
I like that he
Well,
puts
I
the
mean,
soy
me
latte on the same part as
and me.
himself. Yeah, the soy latte and him are on like roughly similar, equivalent levels of importance to his mother.
okay, yeah. Damn.
I guess you could say that that's the case. It's better be a really good soy latte. He said he doesn't even drink the soy lattes.
Well, it's the best soy latte that she ever had. Like that's pretty big.
Is it though? Like, I mean, that's kind of just like a comparative superlative thing where it's like the best soy latte that I ever had might be just as good as like the best time I ever took out the garbage. Where it's like everything went smoothly, but I still was taking out the garbage. Is that
Yeah,
really
that's
something I
true.
want to remember fondly?
Maybe
Yeah.
she hates soy lattes.
Oh,
And it's just a continuation of the whole like having everything back in the world, including the bad things. Maybe these are all supposed to be bad things.
Well, not
Yes.
all of them, because obviously love, pride,
Maybe she
pride.
Yeah.
Your best
maybe
friend
she didn't
always
like any
sticks
of those things. Maybe she didn't like
even
Yeah.
when you're wrong. Maybe she didn't like him.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I was
trying
going to
imply
say
without
that. Yes.
it directly. Yeah, I like this new canon where he's like tormenting his mother.
No, I kind of buy into
He's
So that's
like,
what,
"Do you miss
yeah.
me?"
Now the
Yeah.
5-hour phone conversation is very creepy all of a sudden.
I totally buy into that on the basis that the sidebar annotation thing is he opens it with talking about how her downfall was Coca-Cola and cigarettes.
Yeah.
So he's totally just tormenting her.
Yeah,
Like,
this
are
is
you winning, Mom?
Damn.
Wow. Oh, wow. This is like I think I've I've gone through like several hoops of new perspective every time we hit a talking point. This is
yeah.
a really enriching conversation about a song that two of you hadn't even heard an hour
Yep.
ago.
We've really unlocked a whole new
How-
dimension of Drops of Jupiter.
Yeah.
I think I've thought more about
Yeah,
this
see, it
song
really
than I've
is
thought about any song.
really
ever.
is the universal language. Yeah.
Yeah,
Soon
Drop-
we'll
Jupiter is the universal language. It is the Rosetta Stone.
Yep.
if we keep analyzing it enough, we unlock the drops of other planets.
Yes,
Yo, that'd be awesome.
I can't wait for
Holy
Drops
shit.
of Earth.
I can't wait for drops of mercury. Just kill
That
me
right
off.
Drops of mercury in my bloodstream.
Drops of mercury in your ear.
Yes.
Do you think they would still write a Drops of Pluto, or is it like too far gone at this point?
I think Pluto's been reinstated, hasn't it?
Wait,
I heard
what?
something about how they were considering that, but I didn't.
For real.
I don't know if it was.
Somebody told me that once, but the same person that told me that also told me that Paul Walker had faked his death, so I ended up assuming that it wasn't
Oh,
true.
Oh no.
Pluto is still not an official planet. Okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking the main reason is like its orbit doesn't like work in the same way every other planet's does.
Like, why would they go back? Like, it's just.
I think it's kind of funny that you tell me that like somebody told you that and you kind of didn't believe it, because someone told me that when I think that happened when I was in like second or third grade, and
Yeah.
I just didn't believe them because it's like you go to school and some kid's just like, Pluto's not a planet anymore. My mom told me, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like I remember on April Fool's Day one year, somebody told me the guy who plays Peter Griffin quit. I was like, there's no way that's true. Fucking Seth MacFarlane, and he was like, April Fools, and I was like, I didn't believe you. It totally could have been. I mean, these were different kids, but like it totally could have been just the case.
Yeah.
This kid was
When,
making a Pluto thing, but no, I went home and I asked my mom. Sure enough, Pluto wasn't a planet. I have never been the same.
I heard it and I thought that they blew up Pluto with the Death Star.
Wait, when did this happen? Because I don't remember. I was talking about somebody telling me that Pluto was a planet again. I don't remember like ever thinking that Pluto was a planet. When was it not a planet? Like when did that happen?
That was I mean, I think Jen and I were both about second grade. I think I was like first, second grade. But I was a year behind grade wise, so that would make sense.
Right. So I would have been.
I would have been like 7,
So, like-
8 probably.
So more than 10 years ago. Yeah.
Definitely more than 10 years ago. Yeah.
Absolutely.
When did Pluto stop being a planet? 2006. Okay, so I guess I was like 7.
Yeah, 6, 7.
Yeah. Yes, I was 5.
8.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet she's back in the atmosphere. Bet she's listening to Atmosphere. God Loves Ugly is a classic hit.
What if the song is about? What if the song is about Pluto coming back, and it's like the journey back?
Pretty
to the-
prophetic considering
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
planet at the time.
Yeah, they wrote it before it was even not a planet. Like, well, I mean, Pat Monahan also did predict death grips, so he clearly knew a lot
You're
of
right.
what.
Oh right, yeah. No love, deep pride. Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine
Yes.
no love, deep web? Love.
That's like the.
Deep
It's
web.
like the. That's like the meme where it's like the lyrics from Ageotech, where it's like Ice Age coming, and then it shows that Ice Age came out like a year or 2 later.
Yeah.
My mom thought cell phones weren't invented until like 2004. So when I had her listen to some of Kid A at some point, and she heard a line that was like, mobiles chirping, mobiles squirking. And she was like, oh my God, Radiohead predicted cell phones?
Yeah.
And working.
And twerking.
Yeah.
Did I say twerking? I didn't even cut.
You did. You said mobiles chirping, mobiles twerking.
Wonder how that could have happened.
Okay. Do we have any final thoughts on the song? We should probably close up.
Nah. I like the idea that we just kind of fade out, like in traditional song format. We don't have an ending. You just make our voices to be quieter at the end of every episode until we just keep on rambling.
Like one of those like where it just keeps repeating the same thing.
Yeah,
Over.
exactly. We're just talking,
Oh yeah.
our thoughts get increasingly more inane, and it has nothing to do with Drops of Jupiter, and we're like 12 side tangents in, and like Dawson is just cutting us down to absolute 0 volume.
At this point, yeah, I think this is probably twice as long as the Buddy Holly episode.
Oh no, really? How
Yeah,
long
It's
have we
only
been going?
2 hours, I think.
Holy shit.
Unfortunately,
Oh, poor
you got
Dawson.
me. You got me on here, and I am the queen of tangents, so
Yeah.
I think that's better for listeners, though.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I wish I was part of Weezer Cruise, but that's just life.
Oh, you should, yeah, definitely listen to that whole episode because it's got a lot
Yeah.
of.
I absolutely will.
But I don't know. I think this one, I'll have to listen back to this one. But not talking about Weezer does kind of put me at a disadvantage in this case. But I think honestly, this one might be better.
Let's go.
Maybe because we have more people on it. But
Better,
I mean, there's definitely a lot of room.
best. We got to kick all the other people out of the podcast.
it'll just be us.
Yeah.
Okay, so closing
Dawson's
thoughts.
Babbage.
Actually, I wonder if Babbitt has heard this one. I really want to know.
Good question. Let's ping him right now.
Honestly, my gut response to that is no. But,
I don't think he has. I'm saying he hasn't.
I mean,
But
it's
But he
Babbitt. Come
hasn't
on.
heard.
Like,
He hadn't heard any Beatles songs until I made him listen to Revolution
We-
9.
yeah,
Like, he would not
right,
listen to any other
yeah.
Beatles songs. So
I think
Great.
he's probably playing Sudoku right now or something.
there is one other thing that I want to mention that I think is kind of funny pertaining to Drops of Jupiter, and that is that Mobile Fidelity, the label that does a bunch of like really high quality uh, vinyl pressings, like the highest quality possible. They even use like special materials and get like the best mastering engineers and the best pressing plants or whatever. They're pressing Drops of Jupiter. It's never been pressed on vinyl. I think it's so weird. Why'd they pick that album? Most of the albums they do are like Blood on the Tracks and like fucking the Pink Floyd records. They did a Beatles series. Why are they doing Drops of Jupiter?
I mean, Train is the logical evolution of Led Zeppelin, so I think it only makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blood
yeah,
on the
that-
tracks. You talk about the tracks, and you talk about the train.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bob Dylan predicted Train. Pat Monahan predicted Death Grips.
Yes.
Death Grips predicted this podcast.
Yes.
Perfect. End it there.